All right, so before I get started talking about my project, I do want to do something really quickly. I want you to imagine really quickly that we are in physics land, because I teach physics to freshmen at my school. And if you've ever taken a physics class, you understand that physics can be very hard because there's a lot of math involved in it. So one of my goals teaching it to freshmen is to make it as conceptual as possible. So a lot of times I tell them they're in physics land where there's no air resistance or friction. We don't care about any of that stuff. So really quickly, I just want you to take a second to think about this thought experiment that I've actually done with my students. You have a bullet in one hand and you have a gun in the other hand. They're at the exact same height. As soon as you pull the trigger on the gun, you drop the bullet in the other hand. Which one hits the ground first? Just take a second. And if you know the answer, don't just blurt it out, because don't ruin the fun for everybody. Does anybody have any ideas? Anybody want to come up with it? You shoot a bullet and you drop a bullet at the exact same time. Which one hits the ground first? They do hit the ground at the same time. You've ruined the fun. So they do actually hit the ground at the same time. But one of the biggest misconceptions with that is people will say the bullet that's fired first because it moves so much faster, so it's going to hit the ground faster. But that's actually incorrect. So one of the things that I really try and do with my physics class is to address these misconceptions. So what my grant was for was basically to buy a bunch of demo equipment. And this is one thing that I actually did with my class. My class is very discussion-based. So a question like that would really take maybe close to an entire class period. My students will kind of form groups on what they think the answer is. They'll kind of have like an A-B debate, red team, blue team debate, and they'll kind of find it on their own. And now I have the opportunity to have the demo equipment in my class to actually show them that experiment. So I actually do have something where I can shoot a ball and drop it at the same time, and they'll see that it hits the ground at the exact same time. And what I'm really trying to get at with this is, like I said, everybody in here that's taken a physics class has probably disliked it because it is so hard. But I'm trying to take that out of it because it is very math-based, so it's really aimed towards certain types of learners. And everybody in here that's an educator's probably heard of VARC before, the 4 different ways that you can learn: visual, oral, reading/writing, and kinesthetic. Well, a lot of times in classes, you lose that oral and you lose that kinesthetic learning styles. You lose those learning styles because they're really hard to focus on in class. So I'm trying to address those with my demos. So I'm trying to entwine my oral with my kinesthetic by creating a story behind it. So that's why I often reference physics land, because that's kind of where we live. And I'll have a thought experiment like if I shoot the bullet and drop the bullet at the same time, which one will hit the ground first? And then I actually get to run the experiment. So they get to kinesthetically run through that experiment. A couple other things that I have. Has anybody in here ever heard of shoot the monkey? That's an experiment in physics. It's a pretty classic experiment. I got some demo equipment for that. I got one for I think it's pronounced a Chalandi plate. I got a really giant slinky. But if you are a science teacher, you do know that that stuff costs a lot of money. So I couldn't buy a ton of stuff, but everything that I bought was pretty cool. Are there any questions about it?